I'm delighted to be here with Trevor Williams. He's starting pitcher for the Washington Nationals, a man who's come to be known for his Catholicism, too, and being a great witness to the church on the public stage. So delighted, Trevor, to be with you today for this
Thank you. Honored. This is a great thing, and I'm excited to be here.
Terrific. And let me share with our audience how you came on my radar screen. This is back in 2020, and I'm still in California. I'm Santa Barbara, and my assistant said to me, hey, there's a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates who wants to play catch with you. I said, what? And she said, it's this guy, Trevor Williams. And well, the story was, I guess in a podcast I had done, I talked about that Christmas, my sister had found my old Little League mitt, like from when I was 13 years old. And she got it refurbished, right? And it was a great gift. I loved it. So I guess I talked about that on the podcast. And you heard that podcast and said, all right, I'm going to play catch with that guy with that mitt. So I said, yes, let's do that. And then COVID hit, right? It was the COVID spring. So it got called off. I think we tried again, still COVID. And then you ended up at one point with the Cubs, my, kind of team. And we tried, there was a schedule issue. But anyway, the mitts are here. We have some baseballs. We won't play catch on camera here, but that's how you first came on my radar screen.
Yeah, it was, playing catch is always so fun. And not many people get to experience playing catch on a major league field, especially like Dodger Stadium is a cathedral. It's one of those.
It's a great
cathedrals.
Stadium to see a game at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, it's best sound system in the league is what everyone says. So.
Good hot dogs, too. Yeah. I saw, I think, 3 games at Dodger Stadium, and I always loved it. And it was right near the cathedral where I had a little, apartment there at the cathedral. And it was like maybe a 5-minute drive if the traffic was okay. But, yeah, Dodger Stadium. Well, let's talk baseball first a little bit. Because, as a kid, I played all the sports, but baseball was my favorite. And that's the game that, my dad introduced me to when I was, 5 or 6 years old. I played T-ball when I was 7, started playing Little League at 8, played through high school, so baseball was my game. You're a San Diego native, huh?
Yeah, I grew up in San Diego, grew up a huge Padres fan, same thing. Like I grew up falling in love with baseball at Padres games. My dad was a season ticket holder, still is. It's funny.
Okay.
When you watch Padres games now, our season tickets or my parents' season tickets are right behind home plate, like right next to the
so you can
score.
see them when
I see them all the time, and it's either a guy in Nationals gear or not Padres gear. So he's always, and it's funny when we if we're doing scouting for other teams and the team just played the Padres, I'm going over all my scouting videos and all I can see is my dad front center. So it's a distraction. It's like I'm trying to get ready for the Giants or for whoever, but I see my dad front and center. So I fell in love with the game of baseball at it was called Qualcomm Stadium. Now they moved to Petco Park, and I fell in love with the game, the atmosphere, the gamesmanship, the game within the game. I didn't play every sport growing up. I was only good at baseball, and it was so frustrating. Like I couldn't shoot a basketball.
Really?
I couldn't kick right with soccer, so I only played baseball. And thankfully it ended up working out, and I'm so thankful that my dad brought me to so many games to fall in love with the game there.
Well, that's true. My experience too with my father teaching me how to throw a baseball. I still remember it when I was 5 years old. And then I've told that story before. My first pro game was at Tiger Stadium, the old Tiger Stadium in Detroit, because we lived outside Detroit at the time. And my dad taking my brother and me to that game, and the same thing. It was the sights and the sounds and the drama, the color of the game is still in my mind.
Yeah.
And then I had good coaches when I was a kid who that really got us into the feel of baseball, not just you got to win at all costs, but like how to appreciate the game and the field and the smell and the texture of it,
Yeah, I
love that.
I had a lot of old school, we were deemed like old school coaches too, growing up. And as a kid, some of my coaches were old pros or like minor leaguers that never made it. And that was it was like they were almost like gods. You're like, you were in there. You were almost on the big league stadium. And so learning the game from them from a young age, like how to respect the game, how to play the game hard, how to understand that this is a game of failure. And then getting into high school, my high school coaches were invaluable to me as far as development. And then
were you always a pitcher, or did you play other positions?
No, so I hit high school pitching very good. Once it went beyond that, I stopped hitting. But I knew pitching was always going to be my calling. I was terrified of ground balls at first base. So when I was it was a miracle if I caught the ground ball at first base.
It's a hard position for that reason, isn't it? Scooping up all.
Yeah, you know what? God bless my first baseman, because it's like when you get those short hops that the first baseman have, and it's terrifying. And I'm glad that I'm just on the mound now, and when I get my ground balls, they're easy ground balls, and I just flip it over to first base. But was always a pitcher, and it was always what I was good at, and it's always what I loved, like the gamesmanship of like the back and forth game, reading the swings, reading the foul balls, and thankfully I've been continuing to do it somehow, some way, and just.
You went to ASU, huh?
Yes, Arizona State.
And there you knew my friend John Muir,
yes,
Father Muir,
Father John,
who's now the Vicar General in the Phoenix Diocese. He was a student of mine at Mundelein Seminary.
Yeah.
And John was a great baseball player himself. Went to college on a baseball scholarship. And
that was the connection too, because when he found out that I was on the baseball team, he was like, I played baseball too. So it was an immediate connection and great formative years there.
You pitched at ASU, a good coaches there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I pitched there from 2011 to 2013. We had a great time there. We won a lot of games. Unfortunately, we didn't go to the College World Series, but made a lot of great friends there, lifelong friends. And in the 3 years there, we played really good baseball, and I'm proud to be a Sun Devil, and I'm proud to be part of that group.
In those years, so you're like in your 20s then.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of velocity did you have then?
I threw a lot hard. I threw a lot harder when I was in
90s, or what speed were you at?
It was funny when I was in high school. I was in that like mid 80 range, which in high school is like, now it's not that hard, but when I was in high school, it was very hard. And then when I got to college, it was, I think, culmination of a lot of things. I think it was, I was doing like professional lifts, or like in a college weightlifting program. Yeah. I was getting stronger. I was growing into my adult body. And then it was the first time a coach told me, like, throw it as hard as you can for one inning. Yeah. Because I've been a starter my entire life up until college. And then so I would always like try and preserve some in the tank so I can, throw 100 pitches. And it was the first time a coach told me, like, pour gasoline on yourself, light yourself on fire, and throw it as hard as you can. And it was, from my first week, it was 94, 95, 96, and then I hit my highest was 98 miles an hour.
Oh, you got that?
Which is crazy now, because when you look at me pitch now and you're like, there's no way this guy ever threw 98 miles an hour.
What's interesting to me is, I go back, I'm much older than you are, and go back further, the era of like Bob Gibson and Ferguson Jenkins and Denny McClain and pitchers like that. Mm-hmm. In those days, a complete game was common. Yeah. A pitcher would come out and typically, I would say typically, got through 9 innings. Yeah. And so what was the main difference? Was it just that they weren't throwing as hard in those days and they could keep it going for 9 innings?
Sure, I think...
We never did pitch count. I remember, like, when I was a kid, no one ever mentioned the statistic of pitch count. Right. Never.
It is silly. It's like, to think about it now, and like you look at the back of those baseball cards and you see like 35 starts, 34 complete games. You're like, that is absurd.
Right, but that was typical.
It's unfathomable. Right, it was typical then. I think now... The game is, it's the same beautiful game that we grew up with, and it's the same, like, 9 innings, 27 outs. But a lot within it has changed. There are so many good arms now where, like, the strategy could be, it used to be your best pitchers on the staff were the 5 starters. Those were your best pitchers, and then in closer, then the rest. But now it's like, man, let's get our starter 2 times through the lineup, and then we have... bullpen pitcher A that throws 104 miles an hour. We got this guy that throws underhand 100 miles an hour. Right. And it's like, let's get all these guys and get different looks, and then that could be the strategy. And it's effective. And
better or worse? Which does you look at those 2 ways of doing it?
Right, two different schools of thought. But like when I'm at spring training now, and the type of pitcher that I am is a rarity now in this game. Like we talk about it a lot, where it's like, would I be given the opportunity now if I was coming up through the minor leagues and pitch like I do now? Like, would I be given the opportunity at the big league level? And maybe.
Well, you're more of a finesse pitcher than just overpowering speed pitcher.
Right, and that's
what. Look at one of my heroes is Greg Maddux. Mm-hmm. One of the great pitchers in the last 50, 60 years, and he was not a fireball thrower, right? He was
but it was fun to watch.
He was a finesse.
Yeah, hit the edges,
painting the corners all the time, and really playing with a hitter. And in some ways, that's more entertaining to watch, isn't it? If you're a baseball fan,
it's fun. Yeah, it's fun from a pitcher's perspective. It's fun because the frustration that you see, the frustrated swings the hitters will take. Like, you hear the bat slams in the dugout after a strikeout, where it's like, right. I like got you to freeze on a fastball that looked like it was 98, but it was really 90 miles an hour, Right. So it's that's the fun part of pitching. But believe me, too, when I see someone come out of the bullpen and they throw 105 miles an hour and it's like the hitter has that's a lot of fun to watch, too. So it's different, and it's still a beautiful game. And, I'm excited to see where it goes in 10 years. like what are the athletes going to look like?
Yeah.
What's like how fast paced is this going to be?
I like the change. I wonder if you do of the clock for the pitcher.
I wanted to hate it. I really did.
But I think it has improved the game.
It's so much better.
Because like when I was a kid, a pro baseball game lasted about 2 hours.
Right.
It did. That was typical.
Right.
2 hours 15 maybe. And then it got to the point where it was ridiculous.
It's out of control.
3 hours, 3.5 hours. And it became tedious, right?
Yeah.
And so I was kind of the same way, like, oh no, don't play with the rules, and baseball is a classical, contemplative game. Don't do that. But I think it has improved it.
It's funny watching games now with the pitch clock, how fast they move, and then if you were to watch a replay of a game,
right.
it's miserable. It's
I know.
like it's miserable, and I wanted to hate it, and everyone wanted to hate it, but it just improves the game so much more. And
do you find, like, as a pitcher, you don't find it rushing you? You feel you can be adequately prepared?
It's like the perfect time. Because
okay.
if you're the only problem is when you have to like shake off pitches, and then you're like looking at the clock, you're like, oh, I have no time. But we have this fancy little button on our belt that like tells us like exactly what pitch we want. So it's so much better now. And but like from a fan experience, right? Like, I think baseball is the only sport where, as a fan, it's supposed to be communal, right? You're supposed to talk to the person next to you. In football, it's standing up, it's shouting. Basketball, you're watching them go up and down. There's not much downtime. But baseball kind of like built in this community aspect where you have to talk to the person next to you because of how slow it is.
You know, and I'll tell you another change. When I went to like Wrigley Field as a kid, you didn't have constant like music going on and stuff. There was just that, like, okay, inning's over, and now we're going to chat. Yeah. I find now it's too much. Yeah. Like, there's always something to, it's like, just shut up. Let me just sit and, take in the game. Let's say a little bit about that, because I find it fascinating that baseball, as I said, is a contemplative game in a way. You don't have a clock. It's kind of a pastoral game. You're out in the field, and in principle, the baseball game would go on forever. Yeah. Nothing in principle would stop it. I think it does have something to do with the faith and with a spiritual attitude. And I've talked to friends other countries who don't understand baseball at all, and say, it's so tedious to watch. No. It's a contemplative exercise. When I was a kid, my dad taught me how to keep score, Sure. And so I always get the scorecard and the pencil. And, in a way, it's a stupid thing to do in a way. Like, here's this game that's just going to go, it's going to be over, and why am I? Yeah. But it's keeping your mind in the game. It's keeping your focus on the game.
Yeah, it's a silly game, right? And
all games are silly but it's the word silly comes from selig in German, which means sublime. And so, and that's a very good connection, because the playful things in life are the best. They're sought for their own sake, right? You don't go to a baseball game so that you might accomplish something else. You go because it's beautiful. Yeah. And that way it is like the liturgy. It is like fine art. It's things that you pursue for their own sake.
Yeah, if you're going to a liturgy and it's your first time going, you might be like, Dad, this is really boring. Right. But you peel back the layers and you're like, this is why we say these prayers. This is why we genuflect. This is why we do this. It's the same with baseball. Like, this is a boring game, but if you watch the shortstop for 9 innings, like, why does he shade this way? Why does he shade this way? It's like you peel back these layers and it's like there's so much within this to make this a silly game, but there's so much beauty within within the confines of the baseball field.
It wouldn't have lasted if it were otherwise. If a game is just too simplistic, it won't last. But whether it's golf or it's football or it's baseball, they last because of that element. They're endlessly fascinating. Do you read George Will, his books on baseball? Do you know
Not sure.
He's the political commentator. He's been around forever.
Yes, John Will. His son John Will sits right behind our dugout. We say hello to him. Yes.
The Nationals game.
Yes, so I know George.
Because George has written wonderful things about baseball, this contemplative quality of it, and just that the things you're noticing, the subtle moves and so on, make it fun. Hey, so let's keep following your career a bit. You're at ASU, and then you get right into the pros. Are you in the minor leagues for a little bit?
So I was drafted in 2013 by the Miami Marlins. Oh, okay. And then I was traded to the Pirates in 2015, and then and then I made my debut in September of 2016. So I spent a little over 2 seasons in the minor leagues.
That's that video of you with your dad, isn't it? Is that your first game with the Pirates?
That was my debut. And it was that year. That year, my dad was going through cancer. He had stage 4 cancer, and he was given 30 days to live at the beginning.
I didn't know that. Okay.
At the beginning of 2016, or right when I got traded. When I got traded, it was October of 2015. I called my dad, And I say, because I call my dad before I call my wife, of course. So I call my dad, hey, didn't answer. And he always answers or calls back immediately. I call my wife, tell her I just got traded. And then my dad calls back hours later and says, I'm sorry, I've been at the doctor's all day. So fine, I get traded, find out that he has cancer, tells us in the dad way he has cancer, but doesn't tell us like how serious it is. And so all of 2016, he goes through chemotherapy, radiation, miracle after miracle after miracle happens. And in 2016, I'm in AAA with the Pirates, and I'm having a career year. And I'm not getting called up, but guys in front of me are getting called up. I'm not getting called up, guys in front of me. And there was like 15 guys that get called up before me. And this whole time I'm wondering, like, is my dad going to be okay through this year? Is he going to like achieve this lifelong dream with me? And I was so mad because it just I just get passed over. But there was always this like whisper in the back of my mind where it's like, it'll be perfect. Wait. And, myself, I didn't want to believe it because I would have a great game and not get called up, great game, not get called. There'd be an injury at the big leagues and I would get passed over for someone else. So I finally get my call. My dad's healthy enough. He's worked through his chemotherapy. He's healthy enough. The cancer is gone, miraculously gone. And I make my debut on September 5th or September 6th.
Yeah.
My first big league batter is Yadier Molina, so like future Hall of Famer. I'm like losing my mind, and my first pitch is a middle fastball center cut, and like my right fielder camps under it and then just in and out of his glove, like E9, nightmare scenario, E9. That run ends up scoring and ends up tying the game. So we were up one. That run ends up scoring. We tie the game. I throw 3 innings. We hit a homer in the bottom of the 8th to go up.
Yeah.
I get the win.
So you win the game.
I get the win. Yeah. And it's funny, it was on Roberto Clemente night, so I think Roberto Clemente swatted the ball out of my right fielder's glove so that I can get the win.
Now, there's one of my heroes when I was a kid, Roberto Clemente.
Unbelievable.
He's the one that we watched. Anyway, Go ahead.
Well, so I get the win after the game. We're sharing this moment, and everyone has left the stadium. We're sharing this moment. And this embrace was such a raw, emotional embrace because it was like, I didn't think you were going to be here. You didn't think you were going to be here. All these hours that we put into to get into where I'm at. And we did it together. That's why it was such a raw moment. And we didn't know until the next morning that it was caught on video. And it was such a
it's a lovely video.
It was perfect. Like, just like our Lord promised, like it was just going to be perfect. So,
I'd urge people to watch it. It's a lovely video. It reminded me, my father teaching me baseball, your father teaching you baseball, and what that meant. I didn't know the backstory, though, about his illness. I didn't realize
Yeah, he was given, 30 days to live, 30 to 60 days to live. Oh, and, miraculously through St. Jude, we named our middle boy Jude after that miracle because of what happened. And, so Roberto Clemente, too, I firmly believe he swatted it out of the sky. And I learned, being in Pittsburgh, I learned a lot. We knew about Roberto Clemente growing up. We knew like the humanitarian he was, Hall of Famer, like 3,000 hits exactly.
Precisely 3,000 hits.
Which is bananas.
And then he dies on this mercy mission.
And there is, I don't know how, I've heard through people who knows if it's real now, but there is a case for canonization open.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Because he predicted his own death. He told his boy his body wasn't going to be found. And then there's countless, Puerto Rican miracles that are attributed to Roberto Clemente. So, if he becomes our first saint, that'd be unbelievable.
Watching him run, that's what I remember. He was great at everything. He was a great hitter, a great fielder. But watching him run, like rounding second base, coming to third, there was something about the quality of his play. And it is beautiful that he gets 3,000 hits, and that's it. That's the end of his career. So the Pirates, did you know Scott Hahn in those days? Did he come to the games?
He never came to any games, no. But I read his books. I've read his books, and
he's a pretty big Pirates fan, huh?
Well, there's the connection to Franciscan. I never went to Franciscan when I was in Pittsburgh. That was my one regret that I wasn't able to.
It's
go
not far from Pittsburgh.
Not far. I know, and everyone bullies me. They're like, "You should have went to Franciscan." It's like, I know I should have. That's one regret I have of my time in Pittsburgh that I never went to Franciscan.
Yeah. So we're at the Pirates. That's when we would have first our paths crossed in a way, when you were with the Pirates. You end up with the Cubs. And I remember I was sort of delighted because that's my team. I still, though I've lived in L.A., now I live here, you can't knock it when you rooted for a team for like 40-some years. Yeah. So the Cubs are still my team. So you pitch for them, and of course, Wrigley Field is not a pitcher's stadium, is it?
No.
It's,
well, sometimes.
Yes, when the wind's blowing out
blowing
at Wrigley Field and those short porches. Huh?
Yeah. The Cubs is my dad's team, too. So my dad grew up on the south side of Chicago, and his brother loved the Sox, so naturally he loved the Cubs. And
you have to love one or the other in Chicago. You can't love both of them.
So he loved the Cubs, and when I had the opportunity to sign with the Chicago Cubs, it was a no-brainer. It was like calling him up and saying, hey, like, I get to go play for your team, like the hometown. And it was the best half year of baseball for myself and my family. Like my grandma, one of my favorite memories, my grandma got to watch me pitch at Wrigley Stadium. So we got to do all that in such a short amount of time. I thought I was going to be there for 2 years and then not. But yeah, the Wrigley is one of those destination stadiums. Whenever someone asks me like, where should I go see the game? It's always, you got to go see a game at Wrigley. And
Fenway or Wrigley.
Wrigley. There's the cathedrals that we have. And
the bathrooms aren't great.
I've never experienced the bathroom.
Very old school, let's put it that way. But yeah, I mean, I went to usually a game every year when I was in Chicago. I'd get down there for something.
And it's day games. And it's from a family's perspective.
Right.
I leave for breakfast. I go to the field.
Yeah.
And then I'm back and I can have dinner with my kids and my family. And
it's lovely. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So it is a pitcher's stadium when the wind's blowing.
When the wind's blowing in from the lake.
So when pitchers used to hit, we would always go outside. And if the wind was blowing out, pitchers would take batting practice. But when the wind was blowing in, we're like, we don't need to take batting practice today.
Yeah. In my day, I mentioned Ferguson Jenkins was the great Cub pitcher in my day, and then Maddox after him, and people like Billy Williams and Ernie Banks, Ron Santo. That was my era.
Yeah.
Watching the Cubs, you know. And then you end up with the Nationals, and you just signed, didn't you, a 2-year contract?
Yeah, just re-signed with the Nationals. Loved my time there. I spent 2 years or a year and a half with the Mets prior to that, and then signed a 2-year deal with the Nationals, and then I just re-signed to go back to D.C. And my family loves it there. The people that we've met, the community that we've grown into in Northern Virginia where we live is unbelievable. And the friends of friends that we've met and the people that we met outside of baseball was so huge for my wife and I, where it's a tremendous Catholic community in Virginia.
Yeah, it is.
Catholic U is it's our destiny. Like every off day, we go to the Basilica.
Oh, you do?
That's our family retreat. Yeah. We go to the Basilica, and for us, it made so much sense to go back to DC. And our kids have friends there. I love the guys on the team there. I love the trajectory that the Nationals have on the rise with the young prospects. And
they won the series in 2019. Right?
They did.
Then some tough years after that, but you know, when they won in 2019, I think the Cubs have to wait from 1908 until 2016, and the Nationals come into being what year? Like in the
2002 or
they were the Expos, right? The Montreal Expos, whom I followed when I was a kid. And they turned into the Nationals, and then they got to the World Series pretty quickly in the grand scheme of things. But he's excited to be on that team now with a lot of prospects for the future.
Yeah, and I've grown to love those guys. And every team I've been on is different. Like in Pittsburgh, I spent 5 seasons there, and some of my best friends in the game, we all grew up together as we were rookies together. We all came into our own, and then being on the Cubs for my family, and then the Mets. We won 101 games, and it was like being on a team that was like in the playoffs going for it. Was my first experience doing that. It was great, and then getting to the Nationals and becoming, the time in my career is now to be the vet, to be like the dad on the team and help the young guys do their thing, and has been an incredible moment for me in my career. And I'm just glad that the Nationals still trust me in this position, and we love Virginia, and we love the area that we're in.
It's a cool part of the country. Yeah.
It's all I know is Southern California suburbs. So when I had the opportunity to go out into the woods or like drive through the back hills of Virginia up into Maryland, I'm like, this is God's country. Like, this is unbelievable.
It's lovely, yeah. I lived there for 3 years. I was a student at Catholic U a long time ago. Lived right across the street from the shrine, so it's beautiful. And then that whole area around there is terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you grabbed the baseball. We put it there for a reason. I just, when I was a kid playing Little League, I played shortstop, but I pitched a little bit because I was bigger than most of the kids. So I could throw pretty fast for a few innings, like 3 or 4 innings. I never really learned how to throw a variety of pitches. I could just throw like a fastball until I got worn out, I remember the first time it was at some practice, and we had a coach who could throw a variety of pitches. And the first time I saw a real curveball, I'm standing in the batter's box, and I stepped out of the batter's box completely.
It's terrifying.
convinced the ball was coming at my head, and then, of course, breaks beautifully over the plate. And I said, oh, that's what it is. You know? So, like, what's your best pitch? You're not really a curveball thrower.
No, so I'm what is described as an east-west pitcher, so, like, to make ball to strike pitcher, so like let the hitter think ball, 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 strike,
right.
or the strike to ball pitcher too, where it's like a strike and then it's a ball. So I used to throw a curveball back in the day, and then I was told it's not a good pitch. So they said, hey, maybe you shouldn't.
It's rough on the elbow, isn't it? Like throwing a curveball. What is it?
I think throwing is hard on the body.
In general. It's hard on the whole. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is fun. Like it's so scientific now. Like it used to be where like when growing up, it was like hold it like this, throw it like a football, and like bring it to your hip. And now it's so scientific. We have like the high speed cameras to know like exactly like the left part of your index fingernails hitting the ball last. That's why it's kicking this way. And it's cool. That's how sports progress, right? Like that's fascinating. Just in the last 10 years of what we've had pitching wise to what we have now. Sometimes it's too much, sometimes it's information overload, but it's fascinating to see like why if I hold the ball like this and throw it like this, how gravity affects it, how the Magnus effect hits the seam and makes it go this way. And then sometimes they'll just put this in my hand and be like, throw this as hard as you can like this, and it will go this way, and you're just like, all right, I believe you, I trust you, and then you have the evidence that shows it. So that's another part of that, like that layer of pitching that becomes so fun, where it's like, what can I tinker with today? Is it thumb placement? Is it the pressure of your middle finger versus your index finger? So
you're doing that all the time. So you're kind of tinkering with the pitches and
it's
like my favorite pitch, but I can nuance it this way. Yeah. And the thing about it's interesting about the cameras are so precise now, they can see things like where the fingernails hit. And wow. You ever thrown a knuckleball, have you?
I've never been good at a knuckleball.
That's a weird pitch. It's hard to master, isn't it?
It's a weird pitch. Every position player has a good knuckleball. You'll know, like if you've ever played catch with a position player, they'll rip a few, and then their last one's always a knuckleball at you. I've never been good at it. And I had a friend stay with me, JJ Necro.
Phil Necro's
Joe's son,
Joe,
and then Phil's nephew.
So I watched both of them play when I was a kid.
Yeah, he's a great guy, but he's in his blood. He knows how to throw the knuckleball, right? So like he's with the Atlanta Braves right now in their minor league system, and he's like, I have to throw the knuckleball now. So he's got that 95 mile an hour fastball, but then also behind it has the knuckleball, which is unreal. Yeah,
good to have in your arsenal, huh?
100%.
You throw a sinker pretty well, don't you? How do you do? Show me how you throw a sinker.
So sinker is a standard 2-seam grip.
Yeah.
My arm lives in supination, so supination, like you're holding soup, pronation. Yeah. So it's called, I don't know the exact verbiage. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biomechanist.
I want the exact verbiage.
So it's called seam shifted wake. So when the ball's spinning this way, the air will push on it this way, and it'll go this way instead of trying to. Some people will like overly pronate to try and get it to turn over and spin this way, but for me, I have to live like in this supination. So standard sinker grip is what I throw, and then 4-seam, slider, changeup, and the sweeper.
Yeah. You know what's amazing too is they say the really great hitters have the eyesight to take in things like that, like just the rotation, and it's hard to believe because the ball's coming at you at least like 85 or 90 miles an hour, and you're reading the way the seams are moving. And
some guys will say, like, I can see the top seam of the ball. It's like when I'm trying to hit the top seam. I'm like, you're insane. Like, that's not what you see. And then some pitchers will, and this is what I've learned is like, obviously on one side of the baseball you have the blue, right? So if there's a right-handed hitter up, some people will turn the ball so the hitter only sees the white part coming at them. Because like if they see the blue part, they're able to pick up spin axis. But it's like it's those little nuances that pitchers have to try and hide the spin of the ball by keeping the blue part of the ball away from the hitter.
Yeah. And they got to make a decision whether to swing in like what, 1/100th of a second or something.
And I try and remind myself, like when I'm getting crushed out there, I'm like, hitting's supposed to be hard, right? It's like they have all these split decisions to make, and then they hit a ball over the fence, and you're just like, man, I thought it was supposed to be really hard for them to do that.
You got good control too, don't you? You don't have a lot of walks given up, and
so thankfully, like that has been my that has been what has kept me in the big leagues. It was drilled into my head when I was a young kid, like, if you can't throw strikes, you're not going to pitch.
Right.
And it stuck with me, and then now it's just the ability to not just throw strikes down the middle or down. It's just like you have to hit that, like, aim small, miss small. You have to hit that edge. You have to make the umpire. You have to expand the zone. The umpire's got to expand the zone and make it look like it's bigger and try and hit that target every time.
It's like watching Maddox when I was a kid. That he'd throw a pitch and at the last possible second it would just break over the outside corner for the strike. That kind of control is extra, and the batter is just completely flummoxed by it. So as we record these words, we're in January. You'll be starting spring training when? A few more weeks?
Soon. So I think report dates like the first or second week of February. So just a few more weekends left of the off season, or family season, as we call it.
Are you working out a lot during the off season, or you don't pitch much at all during the off season?
So my routines have changed since I've been in the big leagues. Like how I train now as a 32-year-old looks a lot different than how I trained when I was 22.
Yeah. Listen, I could talk baseball with you all day, which I enjoy very much. I also want to talk about your faith, which is of supreme importance to you. And it's been wonderful to see how you brought these two worlds together. So you're born and raised Catholic, huh?
Born and raised Catholic. Born and raised Catholic. I was the youth group that we had at our parish growing up was amazing. I met my wife in our youth group.
Is that right? Yeah.
So it was tremendous for us. And at our parish too, when Philip Rivers was on the Chargers, he attended our parish. So for me, it was like the first glimpse into like you can be Catholic and you could be a professional at the highest level. And in his off season, you would see him in the pew, and it wasn't. I had these aspirations of becoming a big leaguer, but it wasn't. It was so abstract to me. It was just like, every kid wants to be a big leaguer.
Right.
But seeing Philip there with his family and pray, and it's like he's doing this at the highest level, because we only have so much time. Like if I'm going to put so much effort into being a dad and a husband, like how much time do I need to put into my professional life? Yeah. And I saw it, and he was a quarterback for so long. So seeing that at a young age.
That makes sense to me that you saw him and it was just a great witness.
It was like, it was that little like glimpse of like, this is what can happen. And there's been a tremendous amount of mentors that I've had in my baseball career, and then also in my walk, where like Mike Sweeney, for example, like he didn't pitch. He was a big leaguer for a long time, but faithfully Catholic. Yeah. Father Burke, like he the witness that he has as like a former baseball player, and then said yes to the priesthood. And so, anyway,
you might just say a word about Father Burke Masters. You're referring to was a student of mine at Mundelein Seminary back in like 2006, 2007, that era, And Burke, as you say, was a college baseball player, and I think he was maybe in AAA or something at some stage, and then eventually finds his way to the seminary where I taught him. Just a marvelous guy, and we published his book, A Grand Slam for God. I'm glad you know him. Yeah.
So seeing that in my parish when I was super young was big for me, and there were little moments in my life as a teen and into college where it was like, what is the most important thing in your life, and prove it, right? Like if you're saying your faith is the most important thing to your life, then like what are you doing to show that? And thankfully, I had a lot of great people around me, and through a tremendous amount of grace, like was able to do this. Got to college, and college was the first time that I was introduced to other like denominations, and like I don't know if I was just sheltered or whatever, but I was in my Catholic bubble in San Diego. And I had the first instance when I was in high school. A great friend of mine is a Protestant, Bible study leader, and I was getting confirmed, but I had a baseball game on Thursday, so I had to go get confirmed at not my parish, but the parish next door. And he's looking at me and he's like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about? Confirmed?" It's like, what do you mean? So that was the first introduction to me that there were other denominations.
Ecumenical conversation,
right? And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So. I got into college, and then I really had to, like, I wasn't getting attacked, but it was like, why do you believe what you believe? And it was the first time that I was introduced to apologetics and like learning of faith and like learning why I believe what I believe. And then that's just carried me to who I am today. And like I said, through a tremendous amount of grace that like my wife and I have been married for 10 years now, and we have 5 beautiful kids.
Yeah, 5 kids.
And I'm still playing this silly game,
Yeah, Selig, remember, it's sublime.
Silly.
Tell me about the rosary and blood sacrament adoration mean a lot to you, huh? And we talked about the contemplative quality of baseball. And that's, I think, what appeals to a lot of young people with Blessed Sacrament adoration is this crazy world with all of our machines and distractions that when you can just say, no, just sit for an hour in front of this tabernacle that's not going to light up or it's not going to do anything, but just be with the Lord. So that's meant a lot to you, huh?
It's just the quietness and stillness is the thing that has been like the biggest thing for me. And it started with, being challenged, like, don't do a holy hour. If you can't do an hour, do 5 minutes. A holy 5 minutes is better than a holy nothing. 0, right?
Right, yeah.
And it's funny, like with the baseball, like, analogy. It's my favorite moments in my baseball career have been after a game where I'm either with a teammate or with family or with friends where the lights are off, the main lights of the stadium are off.
Yeah.
And you just have like the small field lights, but it's quiet. Like we just had 40,000 people in the stadium, whether we wanted to walk off or lost. Now it's quiet, and it's like the focus is on like the mound or the home plate, and that to me, because I've always been in baseball, I've always been where there's a lot of people or there's a lot of crowds. Like the moment that you can have an intimate moment with our Lord, and you could just shut up and listen,
right.
is that to me was immeasurable. And so doing that for the first time in high school and then carrying that into college and then like finding any city that you just hope that like, if I hope I'm next to a parish that has an adoration chapel.
So you do that, huh? When you're traveling around the country, you look for a parish that has the Blessed Sacrament of it.
Yeah, and it just I have like all the codes in my phone of like,
that's cool.
door.
That's good. But what's interesting is that's a change. When I was coming of age, Blessed Sacrament adoration, maybe your grandmother did that. It wasn't,
right.
But it's revived, in recent years, and it's the young people that love it. And I think that's a great sign of grace in the life of the church. Hey, tell me about they say you got tattoos. AMDG is one of them, right? Ad Maiorem Dei Gloriam.
Yes.
The Jesuit motto. How come that one?
So I got that one. I got that one after a really bad start in college.
Okay.
I got that one after a really bad start, and it was not a moment for me in my career, but it was like, why are you putting so much merit into your success on the baseball field? Like, cut it out. Cut it out. So that to me was like rebel high school or college Trevor, and I got it. But it's a reminder to me, and it's an upside down tattoo.
Oh, it's right there on your wrist.
Yeah, so it's an so like
got it.
For tattoos, it's supposed to be facing this way.
Right, but you can read it.
But I can read it now when I'm in the stretch.
I see when you're right. Okay.
I can see it and be reminded, like, do everything for God's glory. Don't do this for your own personal glory. Don't do this for vainglory. Like, do this all for our Lord. So that was big for me, but it was after a bad start in college.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's good. I think I read somewhere, too, that you said, when you come before the pearly gates and there's St. Peter, he's not going to ask you about your ERA. He's not going to ask you how
I hope not. Yeah, I hope he doesn't.
Pitched and how, what's your win-loss record. And that's a very important thing, though, is whatever we do, fine, it's great. But the ultimate thing that matters is our relationship, our friendship with the Lord. And also the AMDG thing, I had a Jesuit professor when I was in grad school over in Paris. And he used the formula, it's a version of that, is the semper maior. Always more, always greater, right? That there's always more glory we can give to God. So whatever we're doing, terrific, but there's always something else. There's more I can give. There's a better person I can become, right? And that's influenced me a lot, that idea, that you never settle in the spiritual life, right? There's always a higher self gift that you can offer.
In my all my gloves I stole it from Philip Rivers, but it's Nunc Cepi, right? Like, now I begin. So like in all my gloves, right when I put my hand in my gloves, like, hey, now I begin. Yeah. Today's a new day. This is what I'm going to do, all for your glory.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you're not preoccupied with a failure of the past, or you're not preoccupied with what might come, but it's what's in front of you right now. That's the moment the Lord wants you. Yes. Then the other tattoo they told me is the raven, huh? So the Benedictine.
Yeah. So I have a raven on my right arm to make my fastball look a little more scary, right? And so the Benedictine spirituality spoke to me a lot because as an athlete, I like the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius Loyola, but Benedictine spirituality to me, where it's like, put your head down, work and pray, that spoke way more to me as a Catholic. So reading the rule, reading the Regula, and like reading the rule and like trying to take that into a team and trying to like be that, and like the rule where it's like the monastery is better off without you. And mean that, and truly mean that. It's like and that's what true humility looks like, right? And so like trying to take that into like, if you're hurt or if you have a bad game, it's like this is what it means to truly be humble before Christ. And so I got the raven as a sign of my devotion to Saint Benedict, and it's a great evangelization strategy, right? Like people will see the raven and be like, "Oh, do you like Edgar Allan Poe?" Or it's like, "Are you a big Baltimore Ravens fan?"
The Raven, nevermore.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, no, like let me tell you about Saint Benedict and like how he revolutionized like this Western thought of just put your head down and pray, work and pray, and then the story of the raven knocking the chalice out of his hand, and then continue. It's a tremendous story, and that's why Saint Benedict is the reason why.
That's good. My mother went to St. Scholastica High School.
Okay.
This is like a century ago, and the story of the soul of Scholastica going to heaven in the form of a raven. So
amazing story.
I've known those stories for a long time, and the Benedictine world too for me has been an important one in my life, and the humility which is at the heart of the rule, the different steps and rules of humility, and prayerfulness. How do you talk about the Blessed Sacrament adoration? How else do you pray when especially you're on the road, you're traveling around? You've been transferred now, 9 years of pro baseball? You've been in 4 different cities,
Yes.
That's a rough go. How do you maintain your prayer life?
Yeah, so from a family's perspective, we do our best to pray morning prayer together and then night prayer together. We try and do a rosary a day, but it's usually just a decade, right? It's usually just a decade.
Your kids are little.
9. Our oldest is 9. Our youngest is about to turn 1.
So you're trying to corral that group into praying the whole rosary.
And like if we're doing morning prayer, sometimes it's just Psalm 95, right? Sometimes we just get there and then like they start being crazy, and then it's like, all right, guardian angel, please finish this for me, right? So, like selfishly, it's when I'm on the road, my prayer life thrives more on the road because I have more time to myself, and so for me, it's been the Liturgy of the Hours and then doing my best to pray rosary daily. And the easiest part for me and the best way for me to do it, and I do it with teammates and with staff too that are Catholic, where it's like, we're going to go to the field 30 minutes earlier and we're going to walk the warning track and we're going to pray the rosary together on the warning track because it's outside.
And you get teammates
peaceful.
to do that with you.
Yeah, so guys that are Catholic on the team, or like we have strength coaches, very devout, or like even like our general manager will come to mass too. So like we try and do it as much as we can outside and walk. And then, if other guys see that happening, a lot of guys will walk around the field and like get their mental prep in. But when you see us holding a rosary, then some guys will be like, "Oh, can I pray that with you tomorrow?" Or when you guys do this. So I try and do it outside every day as like an open invite to like whoever wants to walk and do this.
That's really, I was curious to ask you about that. So the years in baseball, all these different teams and, guys around your own age, what's the reaction been when they see, your devotion, they see you at prayer? Do you get hassled? Do you get mocked? Do you get people are interested? They're excited about it? What's it like to be a devout Catholic in the, contemporary baseball world?
I try my best, right? I try my best. Like I'm a wretched sinner, and I do my best to try and live our faith according to how our Lord wants us to live it. And I am a big action guy over words. It's hard for me to try and evangelize with words, but like if I could put an arm around a guy and say, like what's the hardest thing you've ever done? How'd you get through it? Like to me, that's like the best way to get through that. But having a crucifix in your locker is one thing. Reminding you, like every time I go out on the field, like Jesus, I trust in you. Like I would love a 0 today, right? Like I'd love 9 zeros, but it's not always going to be that way. But like that prayer of like, Lord, I trust in you.
Do you get mocked for that? Do people say, "Oh, what's going on?" Or "I'm interested"? Or what happens when people in the locker room see the crucifix in your locker?
It's been generally positive. We have a lot of like good brothers, Protestant brothers, and as well. So there's a lot of great guys and great families at the big league level. Some tremendous conversations about like the church and why we believe what we believe.
You do have those conversations.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and it comes from a place of trust, right? Like you're going to have these conversations with your teammates that you love and trust. That I want what's best for you and your family, and. I've never been attacked. I've never been like mocked or anything, because baseball is it's a worldly sport. So we have faiths from all over the spectrum. Like we have people from the Dominican Republic, from the Latin American countries, from Asia. So there's a lot of different walks of life. And even in the United States, like as a San Diego kid, when I got to pro ball for the first time, I'm playing with guys from, Texas, from Minnesota, from Georgia, from all these different walks of life. Yeah. But the one constant in everyone's life, whether Protestant or Catholic, is like our Lord is what's most important. So as far as those conversations go, I'm more of an action guy than I am being outwardly like.
Well, I'm kind of encouraged to hear that. It sounds like it's a fairly, benign atmosphere, and you're able to express your faith and live it, and people are interested in talking about it. And
there's from what I've noticed, like the younger kids, like the 22, 23-year-olds, like even if they are nuns, right? Like even if they are nuns, there is a desire for like absolute truth. Like they have this yearning for something where and I see that, and I truly like believe that they like want truth, and they want to believe that it's real. So it's been encouraging really for the last few years.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Hey, speaking of religion and baseball, something you and I have in common, and we both spoke out against that thing with the Dodgers a couple years ago, right? When they honored what do they call them, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. This kind of, to my mind, outrageously anti-Catholic group getting honored by the Dodgers. Dodgers originally backed away when people complained, but then they, came back and no, we're gonna honor these people. I did a little video kind of off the top of my head, that was seen widely. But what you did, you made a statement that really went viral all over the place. Talk about that with me, because I went through my own, struggle with that, because a lot of people were very unhappy about it, meaning what I said. I got attacked pretty viciously by a lot of people with that statement. Tell me about your experience of that.
Yeah. What happened was exactly like you said, like they were invited, uninvited, invited back again. And I'm watching this unfold from an outsider, right? Like this is my arena. Like baseball is my arena. I'm saying I'm a Catholic athlete. I'm saying I'm a Catholic baseball player. Like I have to say something. And we were in Kansas City at the time, and I had a good friend bring me a prayer card from Sister Wilhelmina, right? So Sister Wilhelmina was just she was just exhumed. So a friend came, gave me a prayer card, and said, "Hey, are you going to say something? Like we're going to LA in a week." He's like, "Are you going to say something?" And I'm like, I don't know if I should say something. I don't know if what I need to do. And he goes, "I think you should really say something." So going through that whole like discernment process of like, how do I say it? How do I be charitable? How do I like call this out as it is? Like on its face, this is anti-Catholic, mockery. And it was extremely hard for my wife and I to make this statement, because we knew we were going to it's a target on our back. But it was very blatant what they were doing, and it was very wrong. And the graces that came out of that, like we made the statement, we, said what we said. It was overwhelmingly positive from people that have come to me and said, like, "Thank you for doing this." And it was one of the few times in my life where I truly felt the power of prayer from others, like where I was able to be level-headed. I was able to I had an increase to the devotion of the Sacred Heart, because it was like I got to do that. I got to pray that novena with thousands of people and do that. We found out we were pregnant in the middle of this, right? So we named our daughter Monica Margaret because of that grace that we received through the Sacred Heart. And one funny story that came out of it, and this is a month or 6 weeks after I made the statement, and I'm mentally exhausted. I'm pitching through, and there was one start where I had nothing, and I got to my locker, and I was like, I was so not focused today. I was just mentally drained from everything, from getting questioned constantly, from constantly getting texts from people, etc. So we're in Houston playing the Astros, and I'm pitching the next day in DC. So it was a night game in Houston, and if I'm the starting pitcher, because I'm the special starting pitcher, they're like, "Trevor, do you want to leave early instead of fly out early?" I'm like, "Of course." So I got to go to the airport by myself, not fly with our team. I got to the airport super early, and because I panic at airports, so I get to the airport super early. And I'm sitting like in the food court, and I'm about to pray a rosary. And I'm like, "Lord, just just give me some sort of grace where I know what I did was right, and I know this is what you called me and asked me to do. But just give me something. Like, let me see a priest walk by and they're cleric. Like, give me something." Yeah. I pray my rosary, and then I'm like looking around. I'm like, "All right, no problem, right?" So I go get my food. I go, like, my gate was, let's say 25. I go sit all the way at 60 where no one's. I have a couple hours.
Yeah.
And I sit down and eat my food, and then up walks next to me this little nun, and she sits right next to me. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
That was your
like,
son.
This is my grace. And then so I go
What'd she say?
Well, I go up to her, and I have my travel bag with me, so I have my like little altar kit, right? So I had this prayer card of Sister Wilhelmina that was touched to her, right? So it's like, so I go up to her, and I'm like, thank you for your witness to the church. Thank you for what you've given us. And I'm like, I want you to have this prayer card of Sister Wilhelmina. And she looks at me, she goes, no habla inglés, mijo. And I go, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, so now I'm trying to like Google Translate, like third class, like I'm trying to like do all these things. So, but it was a trip. She took it, and she was very, very thankful. But it was those little tiny graces that I got through this entire process where, God put me in this arena as a baseball player to speak out against this, and he gave me my faith, and I'm like, this is all. Signs point to this moment. Like, we were going to LA the next week, so like, well, I have to say something. I have to make this statement and do this. But the prayers that we felt, that my family and I felt, were huge, and we're just thankful for like the outpouring love and support that we felt through that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting for me to hear you talk about that because, more minor key, I kind of lived through that too. And, I was in L.A. Archdiocese for 6 years. I threw the first pitch out at a Dodgers game one night, went there several times, and, liked the Dodgers, and a Cub man, but, I liked the Dodgers. I remember an L.A. Dodgers hat that I had at my house in Winona. I used to walk around there with that hat on. And then when this thing happened, though, I thought, oh, come on. I'm all in favor of, first ecumenical dialogue. I'm in favor of, conversation within the church. I tend to use a kind of affirmative orthodoxy approach, meaning here's what the church is for, not what we're against. And so all that is true. But when this thing happened, I thought it was such a gross mockery of the faith. And when people, give me a break. When people said, oh, no, they're just, being playful or whatever. Yeah, I don't think, pole dancing on the cross of Jesus is some kind of acceptable form of expression.
Right.
And again, I'm very aware of the fact that in our country, there's a deep strain of anti-Catholicism. It goes way back to the beginning of our country. Mm-hmm. And it comes up in different forms. The ideologies on the surface can shift. It could be right-wing, now it's more left-wing, but there's still that strain of anti-Catholicism. And so when that pops up in that really gross form the way it did, I thought, no. Something's got to be said here.
Right.
And, we both know that when you do that, people will come back at you. But like you, too, I got a lot of support and a lot of, positive commentary, too. But I do think that's where we have to engage the fight.
100%.
Avoid the fight if you can, and, dialogue and conversation, all that, if you can. But when the church is being directly attacked, the way it was there, I think we have to speak.
Yeah, because it becomes absurd. And it's like, if this is going to continue to happen, like, what are we doing? And like, that's what we had to like, because baseball stadium should be a place where everyone feels welcome,
right?
100%. Yeah. And like, we all should feel welcomed there. But that was very clearly like against one certain religion. And it's like, if we don't draw the line in the sand, who's going to do it?
And why is that? Why are we the ones who can be mocked with impunity?
Right.
And no other religion. No one's going after, Presbyterians or Methodists or something. And we Catholics I think we can't tolerate that. So I'm proud of the stance you took and glad you took it. Hey, just the remaining minutes we have, talk about. You're a young guy. You got several years of baseball left in you, but
thank you.
You do. It's not like that arm, hangs in there. What do you envision, when you're 40-something, and what's after baseball for you?
I want to be a trophy husband. That's all I want to do. No,
all right.
God willing, I hope I play this game for long enough. But I love the game of baseball. I imagine myself in some capacity within baseball.
So a coach or a manager?
Something, or like the fancy title, pitching coach or pitching coordinator, right? I love game planning. So I love like watching video of hitters, doing scouting reports, and having like attack plans for.
You do like all that, okay?
I love it, like passion of mine. So like doing that in some aspect for a team would be unbelievable. And I hope I play this game for a long time. I dabbled. My father's an attorney, so like I dabbled with like, do I want to go to law school? And I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, no, I'd rather just like tell kids to throw like throw a slider here, throw a changeup here, and throw a fastball here instead of trying to, argue cases. So, but I don't know. I don't hopefully have that conversation.
If you like doing that, you should, I think.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Do you, when you're not pitching, are you charting pitches of your colleagues, or what are you doing in the dugout?
Sometimes. So most of the time we're just hanging out and talking, right? But that's where the community comes in. That's where the best conversations happen, is on the bench. But what we do at our level is, if you have a 3 or 4 game series, we will get together as starting pitchers and be like, okay, my attack plan looks different than the guy behind me because he's a left-handed thrower that throws 100 miles an hour, right? So our attack plans look different, but we're going to pitch player X this way so that by the 3rd or 4th game, the entire outer half of the plate is open for you. Because if we've been attacking him inside for 2 or 3 games, by the time it's your game, the entire outer half is going to be yours. So just trying to do that, and then if we're watching it, we're either saying, oh, he's sticking to the game plan, or it's like, okay, well, he's not sticking to the game plan. You're not going to have the outer half of that for your game. So just watching, and I tell kids all the time, and I do this as a professional, is just watch one position player per inning. Don't watch the pitch. Don't watch watch what the right fielder does all inning. Yeah. And so we'll do that. We'll watch. We'll see who's really paying attention to the game. So who's really doing their thing. But yeah, that's during the game. That's really what we do.
Who's your hero in pitching? Who's the guy that it could be today or years ago? Who's the pitcher you look to and say, that's the guy that really had it, like a Sandy Koufax? Or they often point to him, don't they, as a pure pitcher.
So I grew up obviously a Padres fan, so I got to watch Trevor Hoffman pitch all the time. I got to see a lot of his saves. Front and center, I got to see a lot of his saves. And he was an overpowering guy at the beginning of his career, but towards the end of his career, he wasn't. And he had a devastating changeup. His changeup was his pitch. And the big leg kick was something that I fell in love with. I tried to have the big leg kick like he did. So he was really a pitching hero of mine. Another guy like Roger Clemens was a blast to watch. I wasn't left-handed, but anytime Randy Johnson was pitching, I would turn the game on because it was this 8-foot-tall monster throwing 100 miles an hour. So
the famous film of him killing the bird.
Killing a bird, yeah.
The unluckiest bird in the history of birds. Flies across just as the fastball of Randy Johnson. Yeah, he was intimidating. Yeah, just to look at, huh?
And just the nickname, the Big Unit, is unbelievable. So,
I remember Nolan Ryan when I was a kid watching him pitch, and he was extraordinary figure.
He pitched for 5 decades.
Yeah,
which is unbelievable.
Yeah. Just from a physical standpoint. Good. Hey, listen, I love talking to you about both baseball and the faith. Proud of you. Glad that you're there on the public scene, witnessing to the Catholic faith. It means a lot to all of us. And I think, the younger people come along too, especially sports fans. It's a wonderful witness. So God bless you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. Thanks, Trevor.
Thanks.